Okay, so Boss Monster. You know Boss Monster, right?
Yes, I do.
Imagine taking those characters and sticking them into carts, Mario Kart style.
Yeah, and racing them?
And racing them.
Whoa.
Yeah, you would have Dungeon Kart. Okay, so Dungeon Kart, right here. Dungeon Kart is pretty much the Boss Monster monsters and really racing Mario Kart style.
Yeah.
And they've kind of gotten away from the whole 8-bit look now because these look very just like normal cartoon racing characters.
They do, correct, yes.
So this is you're gonna see a lot of homage to Mario Kart in this because that's kind of the way it's designed. So before we get into exactly what we thought about it, let's quickly see an overview about how it's played. Okay, we are set up for a game of Dungeon Kart now. Now I'm gonna go quickly over the rules. I'm not gonna go through all the rules. This is just kind of a quick overview so you kind of see how the game is played. First off, these are acrylic standees. You can't really see them from up here, but I've got them sitting up, so these are all of your cars. And pretty much it is a race. It is very similar to Mario Kart, and you're going to see a lot of similarities with that. First off, everybody is going to choose their character. All these different characters here, they have different abilities. They're very asymmetric as far as what you can spend your coins on. And you're also going to get your car. And your car, that's not just this, that is this right here. This right here is going to be your car and shows your speed. Every single one of these is different as well. And I'll go into those details again a little bit later. But these actually, now I've got it sitting like this. They're actually made with these little cars here, these little wheels. So you can put them on there and they kind of sit up really cool like this. But for the sake of the video, I've got it sitting right here. Okay, this is our order right here of our positions here. So what is going to happen here is, first off, you're going to set your speed up or down 1. We start off at 3, so we can move this up to 4. And those are your movement points. Now, how can you spend your movement points? Well, first off, let's take a look at the hexes. The hexes have little dots on them, and that's going to be, this is actually 1 dot there. It actually, that's how much it costs to move in each of these spaces. So it costs 1 to move into these, and it would cost 2 or 3 to go through these back here. So it'll be 1, 2, 3. Now, if you have, say you're right here, and you can move into this with only 1, but if you don't have 3, you can't actually go through that. But then also there's a couple things you can do once per turn, and one of them is drift, and that is one movement point to drift. So say you are up here, you can use 1 movement point to drift, and that would be to drift here or here. All right? So you can that's kind of going left or right. And that is drift. And also you can use 1 movement point to turn. You turn 60 degrees to your right or to your left. And typically that is once per turn. Now something else you could do is also bump. You're going to notice right here, everything is what's nice is written right here on your dashboard what you can do. You've got drift, turn, move, and bump. So bump, say we've got Killa right here. If he's going to bump and move in here, then you're going to bump right here, the other character, into one of these 3 spaces here. And that bump is here. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to use some movement points to go across the board. And of course, as you go off of the road, this is where it's all 1 movement point. It gets tougher terrain and goes around like this. Now during this point of the movement, you can also cast spells. Now spells are over here. We're going to get to those in a moment. But you can cast spells, and also you can spend coins to use your boss power. Remember how I said these were all asymmetric? So these right here, like for instance Porcus here, he can spend 2 coins to get +1 turn for 1 movement point. So everybody here has different asymmetric powers. This guy right here, Killa, gives 2 coins to get 2 movement points. And also he gets an ability with bumping where you spend 3. And King Croak right here, 2 to get 2 movement points, or 3 at the beginning of your turn. Complete the set speed step an additional time. So you get to go up 2 or even down 2 if you choose to do that. And finally, on your turn, there is actually a round structure here, which is nice. It shows you what to do. Right here it says set terrain penalty on dashboard. What does that mean? Well, you set it down to the last or the hardest terrain you go through. So for example, say you are all the way up here on 8, but then you have actually gone through mud, then you're going to, at the end, you're going to drop it right down. So you're going to start your next turn there down at 4. Okay, so one other thing is as you move around the board, you're going to notice different things that you can pick up and hit. First off, the coins are very self-explanatory. You're going to get a coin. Spell book means you're going to get a spell. So as soon as you pass through those, you're going to get a spell and put it right there on your side. You're going to collect that in a moment, and I'll go through those in a moment. And then also you have these different hazards. For example, the boost right here, if you hit the boost, you're going to roll this boost die and you're going to move those listed number of hexes forward. The Smashinator allows you to roll a Smashinator die and you can either gain coins, crash, or spin out. And we will mention crash in a moment. And then right over here, if you got the Fang root, this right here will make you crash and you do not remove the token when you hit this. Oh, one other thing too is anytime these black barriers, you cannot cross through there. So you also can't cross through here. You'll notice there are black barriers here. So anywhere that you have the black lines, you cannot cross through. Then you've also got the tar spill right here. Now this one, you set the speed down one setting and then you end your turn right there. So if you're on an 8, you're going to drop it down to a 6. We've got lava spills over here. You crash, you lose one token, and those stay 2. You don't remove them. Now you will notice you've got some heroes. All of these are little heroes here. And those you're going to crash, and you are going to move the token when you do hit those. So if you're driving through and you hit him, you're going to crash, remove the token, and then you're going to stay right there. Now, you'll notice that there's a couple of other ones here. This right here is an epic hero. Epic heroes are a little bit different. They're going to work different. Like, for instance, this one is the Princess. The Princess, whenever a racer ends their turn into Princess's tile, they're going to move 1 hex closer to the Princess. So all of these epic heroes do something different, and they're pretty cool. For instance, the Pharaoh, place a Smashinator on top of every coin in the Pharaoh's tile. If a racer hits the Pharaoh, they're going to crash and then remove the Pharaoh. So all of these epic heroes are going to be 1 per tile. Those are going to be around the board as well. Okay, now certain things right here are going to have you actually spin out. Now, spin out, when somebody makes you spin out, you're going to end your movement. So say you're moving up just like this and say you're all the way up to 8. Something makes you spin out. Then you're going to end your movement and adjust your speed to the second lowest setting. So which would be right here. It even shows spin out right here. And if you crash, say you're going to go ahead and crash into the Princess here, or you're going to crash up into a hero here, then you're going to end your movement and you adjust your speed down to the lowest setting. Now, the thing about the crash is you're going to lay it down just like this, and your next time you can actually come right back up, and then you can change your facing to any direction. So that's going to be pretty beneficial because a lot of times as you go around the board, your movement points, you have to use all of them. So if you're facing just this way, even with drifting and turning once per turn, you may not be able to get away from the wall. So you will crash into the wall, you're going to have to reset, and then you'll be able to readjust your setting. Okay, and finally, let's go into spells. Spells are pretty cool. In the round structure, here's what, again, on your little play right here, you're going to cast a free spells. You're going to start with the first player. Everyone takes a turn. Apply end of round effects. Certain ones will come through cards. Update their rankings. You're going to notice these rankings here, and that's who's first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. In this case, there's 6. This is a 6-player game. And you receive spells. So you'll notice each of these rankings are important because it shows you what position they're in. For instance, this guy's in B, and then all the way down here is C. So when you choose a spell, you're going to look at where you are, B or C, or A right up here, and you're going to get the corresponding card over here. And just like Mario Kart and things like that, you have a percentage of getting better catch-up mechanics on these spells. So for example, let's take a look at the A spells. Here we've got Fireball. You target the nearest car in front of you and they crash. Right here, you've got a bomb. Place a bomb directly behind your car. At the end of the round, if a car hits it, the bomb blows up and that car and all adjacent racers will crash. So you've got all these. Fireball does the same thing. Payday, that actually gives you coins. Zombie attack, these are great. Place a zombie directly behind you. If a racer hits a zombie, they spin out. Okay, so those, and then you've got all of these. These are in B. Now, cave-in. Target the car that's currently in the lead. That car and any adjacent to them crash. And any hazards adjacent to the lead car are also destroyed. That's cave-in. Then you've got haste. Move 3 hexes forward in a straight line, ignoring movement points and terrain you cross over. All right, you've got firebolt, you've got sabotage. Every car ahead of you or tied with you spins out. For the rest of the round, racers may not use their boss powers. You've got fireball around. Now, if you are in last, one of these last 2, you're going to get one of these C. cards here. Now, those are pretty cool. For instance, this one, freeze. All cars in front of you crash. All racers besides you do not increase their speed dials at the beginning of their turn this round. So that freezing is going to happen at the beginning of the round. So you just freeze everyone and make them crash. Then you've got teleport. This right here, change your total movement points to 12. Move directly to and then follow the racing line until your movement point runs out. This turn you have unlimited free turns, ignore terrain, hazards, everything else. So you will notice there's a racing line that's going to show you through there, and you're going to just travel along. This is kind of like the bullet if you've played Mario Kart. This kind of shoots you through to catch you up. And then you've got different things, haste, and then you've got fear, and different ones like that in the C spells as well. And this changes every time depending on the player order, and that's how you know what spell you're going to get. Now, before I go into the end here, I will show you a couple more of these dashboards and show you how they are a little bit different. Not only are the numbers and the icons on them different, for example here, you'll notice the numbers are a bit different maxes, and then different icons everywhere, but everything has a different ability. For instance, this one says traction right here. All right, so you've got traction, you've got heavy. This heavy here, it's 0 movement points to bump. But traction here, it's 1 movement point to drift. When normally right here, you pay the movement points of the hex you're going into. Well, that will help you drift. Then you've got over here, this is also heavy. So every single one is a little bit different. This is handling. You'll notice right here it says. So here you're going to pay movement points to drift, but check out turn. Turn is 0 movement points. So it's going to cost you nothing to turn, but you can still only do that once per turn. Okay, so that is not all the rules, but that's pretty much gives you kind of a feel of how to play the game, and it is a race, so the first one to get through the finish line, the furthest through, wins. So let's send it back and see what we thought about it. Okay, and that was just a very quick overview. Again, that's not a rules teach, so I did not put everything in there. This is just a simple overview about the flow of the game, so you can kind of feel what it's like. So first off, you cannot look at games like this in a vacuum. No. Right, because you look at it and there have been several racing games that have been reviewed and released that are great. Yes. I mean, on the deeper end, you've got Heat. Yes. You know, you also have Thunder Road. Correct. It's a little bit wacky. Then you also have Dodos Riding Dinos. So no matter what, you're going to kind of see those comparisons. Oh, absolutely. That was the one thing when I was playing this the whole time, I was like, oh, okay, comparing it to the other ones, for sure. Right. Now, first off, I love the acrylics on this. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I am a sucker for acrylics. Yes. I really am, because, I mean, instead of just the cars look better from above, but then those acrylics, they just work. They look really great, too. Absolutely. They're kind of hard to get in those bases. There was a couple of times I thought I was going to snap it, and it's just like, it's rough. But it worked. It did work, and once they're in there, they're really good. And again, this artwork is that classic Dungeon Boss or Overboss. You like Overboss? I do, yes. Yeah, Overboss art style. All right, so it's one thing I will say is we played this at 2, we played it at 4, and I will say this game really shines at higher player counts. Oh, absolutely, for sure. I do think you need to play this with more people. Yes, I mean with like say Thunder Road. Thunder Road, you can have chaos at any player count. But this one at the larger player counts is where you really get those just great moments. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yes, you definitely get those moments when there's much more stuff going on the board. Yeah, because when you get those cluster of cars, that's when those explosions can make everyone crash. And it really gives you that feel, that video game feel. It's like you were hit, boom, and all of a sudden everybody crashes around you. Yes, it's very thematic. It's really good. And lower player counts, you don't have that catch-up mechanic. No, for sure. One thing I did say about this game is this is one of those games where you plan out your turn, right? You know you have this many things to roll, but it is one thing you've got to be okay with everybody just going, oh, I got to go back because, oops, I actually hit a wall. I didn't see that, you know. Can I move this way? That's one thing you do have to be okay with at this game. Right. You know, because there's a lot of that happening, particularly as you're trying to navigate a turn or there's mud or something like that. You've really got to everyone has to be okay with that. Yeah, and if you're a stickler for the rules, it's going to bother you because people will go, it's like, okay, that does that. Okay. So you kind of find yourself, at first, you'll want to move your finger. Yes. And then kind of go keep your car where it is. Yes. Because otherwise you move your car, you're like, okay, where was I? I was here. And there's a lot of that backtracking. Yes. And that brings me to one other thing that is one negative I see about this, is it can be fiddly. I like a lot of the things it does, but once you start having all of those hazards, then you have all the heroes, and then you have the epic heroes that all do something different. Then on top of that, you have everybody's ability, and then on top of that, you've got the spells. It can be a lot.
Yes, there can be a lot going on. And also, particularly if you have those squares that take multiple moves to get in and out of or whatever, that's just something else that adds a little bit more. You're like, wait, what? Oh, hang on, I didn't see that. Oh, no, so it's one of those things.
Yeah, so it does add a little fiddliness. Now, we'll say the driving and the movement points, that's clever. Because at first you're like, okay, you get one drift or one turn. You're like, okay, this is fine. And you're just going to crank it up. You're going to get those 10 movement points. But having used them all, you find yourself willingly crash into a wall because you've got no other option.
Yes.
Right? So I like that mechanic. I also like the fact that you're going to drop down speed to your terrain and all this. But I think my favorite part is the spells.
Oh, I love the spells, for sure. They are so fun.
You will find yourself kind of like Mario Kart, where you will find yourself kind of deviating from the road you're wanting to go to pick up that block. To hit that block. Here you go deviate and you go grab that spell block.
Yes.
Especially if you're towards the back, because the spells tend to be more powerful.
Yes, yes.
You've got that teleport that's going to shoot you just bullet-wise. Pivot you, go right to the front.
Yeah.
So that really gives that Mario Kart feel.
Absolutely. No, for sure. The spells are fantastic. I love that addition.
It is. Now, one thing is, I will say, people will find the fiddliness, but once you start knowing the rules, all this, you can kind of mitigate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so where would you fall on this one compared to, of course, knowing all the other games exist, racing games?
I would definitely give this game a 6.5.
6.5. All right, and you would play it again.
I would play it, and I enjoyed playing it. I just like some of the other games that are out there just a little bit better.
I agree, and I'm coming in a bit higher at a 7, and only because number one, I like the IP of Dungeon, of Boss Monster and all that, but also I love Mario Kart. The nostalgia of this, it really feels like Mario Kart on the board, shooting those spells, all that. I wish I could go higher, but the fiddliness, it kind of gets to me a little bit. But if it was when I played a lot, I could see those rules like the back of your hand. Once you get those, you get them. And you'll be able to explain very quickly what all these do. But if you're looking for something that really hits that Mario Kart vibe and gives you that feel, well, definitely...
this is it.
Check out Dungeon Kart.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's got acrylics.
Hey.
I love acrylics.
They're pretty awesome.
Did I mention that?
Once or twice. Yeah,
I
good
did.
job.
Okay. I'm Joey Evans.
I'm Alex Evans.
And we'll see you later on the channel.
Bye.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for that video. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, make sure you check out what's happening, where I'll cover an app on an iOS or a Switch device, and you can check it out along with me. Thanks very much. You've been watching The Dice Tower.